we're reaching the end of the season, we're really going into crunch time. Lots of full throttle, get everything done. We're at the part where we say, oh, if only we had another week, where we only have one more week, better make it count.
So we finally got prototypes built. Some of the prototypes turned out that they don't fit. It's nicer to know that now than in competition, so we're finally trying to do fit checks, make sure everything works, make sure everything fits in the right spot. We have a base plate, got painted.
The final base plate is ready. We have 4 sims, 6 wheels. 4 of the wheels will be powered and 2 dummy wheels to help move across the obstacles. We've been hard at work to get our driver team practice time with the robot.
We were able to get some run with all of our drivers on the drive base, and the new drive base handles much better than the old drive base.
We decided to add the wheel back in because it wouldn't beach when we were at a lower weight. But once we started tacking on all the metal stuff, we started stopping in the middle and beaching.
The middle wheel helps with the rock wall. It comes with the caveat that it damages our timing of crossing the moat because there's 2 bumps for the middle wheel to go over instead of 1.
We finally finished up building everything that actually climbs, and we tested, and it was very nerve-wracking. It works, it lifts weight. We didn't have the tilting part of our mechanism yet, so we had the hook unreel up, and then we kind of took our hands and pushed it so that it was over top of the bar, and then started reeling it back in.
The climber scared me before I saw it moving, but seeing the gondola work and seeing the extension and retraction of the measuring tape was more reassuring than I thought it would be.
It works, we're very happy. We had a few small changes, but we made them. At the end of the week, we're testing, including the tilting mechanism. So we finished making the tilting mechanism. We just have to wire up. We're using an electromagnet, and we're putting on a bunch of sensors.
So in the ongoing saga of space conflicts, because we're moving to final or really close to final designs, we're looking at more definitive solutions to these space problems, or in one case, a lack of a solution.
Our solution was make 2 shooters, one that's a little different than the previous one. Make them both, bag them both, see what we can do.
Either we have this shooter, our current shooter, with a high shot and no climber, or we have this shooter and our current climber, but no high shot. But if we can't find that out by the time we get to bag, then we're gonna end up bagging a robot that has that kind of conflict in its functionalities, which makes it much more of a strategy decision. You know, do we go into a match doing a low shot and a climb, or high shot and no climb? That being said, Shooter Team is working on alternate solutions, and they do have the 2 weeks in between bag and competition in which they can be working on this new shooter that we can bring to competition as part of our 30 pounds extra weight allocation that we're allowed to bring. That's definitely a possibility. That makes me hopeful for ways in which we could get both a high shooting shooter and a climber onto our competition robot.
This week, Control Systems tested a lot of their code on current mechanisms.
The point of Control Systems is to have a coherent plan in order to control the robot in all manners. So that's anything from how are we going to drive the robot to how are we going to autonomously drive the robot. That involves making a detailed plan of all the steps that we need to take in order to achieve our predetermined goals, which sensors we're going to use in order to be able to sense our way around the field. Control Systems is also in charge of coding the robot. Throughout the build season, we start with a basic plan, and then we develop that plan, and then we write code to fit that plan. And after that, we have to test what we've written. And so from there, we learn what we've done wrong and what we can fix.
We did fix the scheduling issues. We were able to fit around a climber and some a shooter.
So this week is getting pretty close to bag day, and we still have a lot to do. So in order to make everyone understand the schedule of what needs to be accomplished to what day, we created this huge wall of full of sticky notes for every single day until bag day.
You can move them back and forth if things don't happen, and you can take them on and off.
And on this wall, we have color-coded sticky notes for mechanisms, for software, for electrical, and for drive. So mechanisms, they now know when they need to mount the mechanism onto the robot. Electrical knows when those mechanisms are, so they can proceed to wire those mechanisms. And then finally, control system knows when they can have an available mechanism to test.
And it's a really helpful thing that helps everyone visualize this is how much time we have left.
From testing, we learned what we have to do in order to further develop our code and our robot as a whole. So on Friday, there was risk of snow, and so we went to a community robotics meeting place called Hackground. They have good facilities there, they have tools, and they have available space for robotics teams like us, where we worked on our climber code, and that time was very valuable.
Next week, we look forward to getting a lot of testing done, getting the final mechanisms painted, mounted, and a lot of drive practice, because we really need that.
In years past, we've had like 6 to 10 weeks to develop code, and this time we've had 4 in the build season, and maybe another like half a week after that. So we've cut down our time dramatically, and basically we just have to deal with that. So that involves heavy amounts of testing to make sure that things work. We are on a really time-limited schedule, and we need to make sure that our robot is the best robot it can be.
I think we will have a finished product before bag day, optimistically.
I'm not as nervous anymore that we would bag something that's not working. I'm confident we'll get something working in the bag. There's a lot to get done in the next 9 days, but I feel like our team with the current schedule can get it done with the drive practice in the final 2 days.
We want more time, we always want more time. Then once it gets handed off to software, they don't have a whole lot of time to really work with it. And then if we're lucky, Drive will have time to practice and get the drivers out used to the robot and all the mechanisms.
It's bittersweet because like I'm really excited because I think week 6 is just like the most crazy and most hectic, and it's the most fun, but it's also sad because, you know, it's like my last year and I don't want it to end.
9 days isn't enough, but we'll make it work.